December the 2nd, we have 6 games to get through. We have a Jaden Ivey update. We have a bit of a Lakers update, and we'll look at some All-Star, very early All-Star balloting, voting, whatever we want to call it. This is the Thursday pregame show. Let's go balls deep.
I'm the type to get shit done. You the type to observe. March Madness on my speakers, but today's November 23rd. Got something loud in the blunt, yeah. I don't say what I want, yeah. Probably somewhere sunny getting tan. Foreign women in the sun, yeah. That's all that I need. That's all that I need. That's all that I need. Got my brothers with me. Got my brothers with me, and my mama's healthy. That's all that I need.
Welcome to the Balls Deep podcast, brought to you by Fantasy Basketball International. I'm Adam King. Find me on Twitter and Blue Sky at AdamKing91. Find us on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you consume your fantasy basketball content. Please go and like and subscribe and up your thumb to us. We are part of the Old Man Squad at Old Man Squad on Twitter. 6 games to get through, some injury updates. We'll start with Jaden Ivey because they don't play tonight, so it won't be coming up in the when we talk about the games. Broken leg. We talked about this on the show. I said if it's not a sort of a high ankle sprain, it's a lower leg fracture, and that's what it is. Look, while technically there is a chance that he comes back this season, I'd put it at, 90% that he's done, 90% likelihood that he's done for the season. I know the Pistons have been relatively good and somewhat competitive, but I think best course of action would be to just say, okay, you've got the next, what have we got? 9 months, 8 months till training camp to get this leg right. We'll see. There's been no timeline. There probably won't be until we get surgery, but let's just assume he is done, at least for the fantasy season anyway. We are looking at Asar Thompson as the ad. I'm not sold he will be a must-roster player, but he should get first crack at more minutes. Tobias Harris probably firms as a must-hold. I think he was a hold anyway, very borderline, but I think he firms as a hold. And then we'll get a bit more Marcus Sasser as well, more for deeper leagues, I would say. I just don't see them starting Tim Hardaway and Malik Beasley together. And Beasley is probably rostered anyway. Do we want to do the games? Actually, let's do All-Star stuff first. So, where's the voting? So I noticed when I got up this morning, the first ballot, first return of voting is in. Let's start with the West. No surprise, really. Just running through the names. Yeah, look, no massive surprises. Jokic is leading the ballot count in the West. And in the front court, it's Jokic, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Wembanyama. I thought Wembanyama would get more votes than that. He will play, obviously. They are far ahead of the next player, which is Alperen Şengün, who is then significantly ahead of Jalen Williams. Andrew Wiggins, for some reason, gets votes. Let's pray to God he doesn't make it. Sabonis, Jaren Jackson. So I think 9 of those players are worthy of being in that list. And then if we look at the guards, we have Shea at the top with Luka. Luka, he'll be iffy because I don't even know if he'll play. He might get he almost will certainly get voted in, but I don't know whether he plays. Steph Curry, Kyrie Irving, Anthony Edwards, James Harden, Ja Morant, De'Aaron Fox, Devin Booker, Norm Powell. Good to see Norm there on the list. Again, most of those guys I think are worthy of being on that list. Yeah, I think they're all fine. Eastern front court, Giannis, as I said, he's leading vote getters across the board. Jason Tatum, Karl Anthony Towns, Paolo Banchero, Jaylen Brown, Jimmy Butler, Franz Wagner, Joel Embiid, Paul George, Evan Mobley. Now, there are some issues here for me in this list. Paolo's a tough one. I think he'll be back, obviously. Having only played a couple of games, it's a popularity contest when we get down to it. I think he'll be in there because he will potentially play a month before the All-Star game. So I think that's fair. Jimmy Butler, I don't think should be there. I don't think I need to make a case for him not being there. He just hasn't been good. Franz he'll potentially get voted in, but probably won't play. Joel Embiid, I think, well, again, he will get in on name value. To me, he hasn't played enough or done enough, but I think he probably still gets in. Same goes for Paul George. I don't think he has played well enough to be an all-star this year. Evan Mobley absolutely has. He should be ahead of those guys quite comfortably. When we look at the guards, LaMelo Ball way out in front, it's surprising, but I don't mind it. I love LaMelo, so I know the team has been poor, but he has been good. Donovan Mitchell, Damian Lillard, Jalen Brunson, Trae Young, Cade Cunningham, Tyrese Maxey, Jordan Poole, Tyler Hero, and Derek White. I'm actually okay with a lot of those names. Cade, I think, should be higher. I'd have Cade above Jalen Brunson. Probably not above Lillard, but I'd certainly have him above Brunson and probably Trae Young. Jordan Poole is interesting. I like it. I don't mind him being in there. He has played very well. Tyler Hero, likewise, I had him in my All-Star, early All-Star team. And Derek White, I don't know if he gets in. I really hope he does, but I'm just not sure that he does. Now, I'm just going to compare this to... where's my post that I put? I know I did an all-star post somewhere. I have no idea where. Man, how long ago did I do it? No, that's not it. Man, I post a lot. Here we go. So Jalen Johnson for me should be there, and he isn't. Who else have I got on my list that didn't make it? Everyone else on my list, well, Dyson Daniels, but that was more tongue-in-cheek kind of thing. So Jalen Johnson is the only one, I think, in the East for me that really should be there and isn't. I would have him ahead of Paul George. I'd have him ahead of Joel Embiid, Jimmy Butler, Jaylen Brown, 50-50 Jaylen Brown, Evan Mobley, maybe. Anyway, and Western Conference, Luka, Kyrie, Nikola Jokic. I don't think there's anyone. No, so everyone on my list is on that list. So Jalen Johnson is really the only obvious one for me that stands out. But anyway, let's get into the games. Whoop, we don't want that one. You don't need to see my head that big. All right, 6 games. And then we'll have a look at any questions or anything we might have. Boston up against Minnesota. For Boston, Jaylen Brown, Kristaps Porzingis questionable. Drew Holiday is available to play, as is Al Horford. We know the drill here. If Porzingis is out, Horford is a stream. He was very bad in that last game, but there's enough there for him to be streamed in tonight. Pritchard should be rostered everywhere anyway. If Jaylen Brown is out, they probably go... They might go with Sam Hauser, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, Hauser would probably get a bump. He'd be a worth a look for threes. For the Wolves, Mike Conley was better. Signs of life in that last game. The minutes are still a little underwhelming, but probably bought himself another couple of games. DiVincenzo, who had been playing well, was not good or not great in the last game, but I do think he is still a hold. Jaden McDaniels, he's fine to stream in tonight if you like, with only 6 games, but no real long-term value there. Indiana at Miami, second game of the night. Miami on the second night of a back-to-back. For the Pacers, No updates here. Nothing new. Matherin looked good in the last game, so we can probably just hold him. I doubt he's available, but if he is, go and stream him in. Ben Shepherd has been playing over TJ McConnell. I still think McConnell is the better streaming option, just because he can help you in assists and steals. Ben Shepherd is really just threes and to a lesser extent points. And Obi Toppin, who returned from an injury in the last game prior to his injury, had been a borderline 12-teamer. But he needs to be getting closer to 20 minutes than 15. So we will see if they start to creep him back up into that range or whether they just split him and Jarris Walker. For the Heat, all the guys that played last night appear as though they're going to play tonight. Rozier is back after serving his suspension, so that complicates things off the bench. Duncan Robinson, 3-point streaming elite option. We know he always is. Hayward Highsmith is not an option. Jovic, Rozier, Jaquez, Burks, all these guys are just bundled together if you wanted to take a flyer on one of them. Maybe it's Rozier. He's had a bit of a rest because he has had some niggling injuries, so maybe this rest has done him some good. And they're against a team that isn't a fan of playing defense. So maybe Rozier tonight. Khalil Ware, I like him, but he's not playing enough. Deeper leagues, maybe. Clippers at OKC. For the Clippers, James Harden, questionable. That's obviously a big one. If he is out, Kevin Porter would likely come in unless they shift Chris Dunn to handle the ball a bit more, which they could. In which case, Amir Coffey may come into the starting lineup. They don't really need to go big here against this Thunder team, so I don't really see Batum coming in or anything like that. So if Harden is out, I think Dunn, if he's available, he's a very good streamer and he sort of does enough to be rostered anyway. Derek Jones, similar story, but probably to a lesser extent. We'd be looking at Kevin Porter and Amir Coffey, I think, if Harden is out. For the Thunder, Alex Caruso out again. No word on when he's coming back. So we roll with Cason Wallace and Lou Dort as our streaming options. Aaron Wiggins has looked a little bit better lately, so slightly deeper leagues, he might be worth a look. And Isaiah Joe, again, if you need threes, you know that he is an option. Brooklyn at Milwaukee. For Brooklyn, Maxwell Lewis, there's no update on his injury. They're just saying it's a knee injury. No impact fantasy-wise, but it would be good to have some clarity there just so we know. Ben Simmons is out, second night of a back-to-back, so nothing to concern ourselves with there. Cam Thomas will return after missing last night's game, first night of a back-to-back. So we'll see if Russell starts tonight. With Simmons out, I would assume they just slot him straight in there as the starting point guard. But we will see. Obviously, has to be rostered. Noah Clowney is questionable. He took that hard fall. They're listing it as a hip injury. I guess they just picked a body part and went with it because he'd just be sore all over. Obviously, no structural damage, which is good. This is more of just a how sore am I today kind of a situation. He's a borderline hold in 12s. I think the minutes are there. The production's not quite there. He will get better. But we do have Zaire Williams returning tonight. So that's just another body to throw into that cauldron of players that we don't really know what to do with, including Keon Johnson, Tyrese Martin, now Zaire Williams, Jalen Wilson. I don't know. Keon Johnson for me was a nice pickup. He had been playing well, but he had been benefiting from the loss of Schroeder and Cam Thomas being out, that sort of thing. They now have Russell. They now have Thomas back. So I would assume that Keon Johnson moves back to the bench, and in which case his minutes could fall quite significantly. But I'll hold him tonight. I'll see what they do with him. Zaire Williams was playing well prior to his injury. No word of a minutes restriction, but he may not be required that much anyway. So it's a little bit risky to go with any of these guys, I think. Dayron Sharp has looked good in limited minutes, but we would need a Claxton injury. Clowney being out, maybe, especially as they are playing the Bucks, who are one of the bigger teams in the NBA. They may go with a little bit more size. So Dayron, probably not in 12s, but in deeper leagues, maybe. For the Bucks, Middleton, Giannis are both probable. AJ Green is questionable. Green is nothing more than a 3-point desperation swing. With Giannis there, with Dame playing, just keen to keep an eye on Middleton and see if he plateaus or whether he can keep producing at a high level. He's a must-roster player, obviously, but I do think he was slightly overachieving earlier in his return with Giannis and Dame missing time. So we'll see what happens there. Philadelphia 76ers heading to Golden State. For Philly, Embiid returns after missing last night's game. Kelly Oubre is questionable with a hand, isn't it? Yes, it is a hand sprain. But we've got the big three back, so that means that streaming becomes all that much harder in Philadelphia. Yabusele, he's pretty hit or miss. If you wanted to get him tonight in deeper leagues, I'm okay. I just don't think they'll need to use Drummond that much. It will depend on whether the Warriors opt to go a little bit smaller or run with Kevon Looney as the backup. So there's a maybe for Drummond in very deep leagues, but again, with Embiid there, with Paul George there, with Maxey there, it's pretty hard. Oubre, I still think we're holding him. I know the injury is not ideal, but I think he is a hold. Caleb Martin, not so much. Just a stream play, probably not tonight, maybe, but we're more looking at games where they're missing Paul George or Joel Embiid, one or two of those, or Maxey as well. For the Warriors, Steph Curry is questionable. Draymond Green is probable. Kyle Anderson questionable. That doesn't matter in the slightest. Trace Jackson-Davis has been starting and playing very well, so I think if he is still available for some reason, has to be added. Schroeder, I mean, if you're still holding him, then I hope he can do something tonight, but he has been pretty average. If Curry is out, he obviously gets a bump, and they will move him to the point guard position and probably bring Buddy Hield in there to start alongside him. So keep an eye on Curry's availability. Only thing is it's a late game. We're probably not going to know, which will make streaming hard. But if Curry is out, we look at Buddy Hield. Moses Moody to a lesser degree. Kuminga has been playing well, should be rostered everywhere. All right, last game of the night. Portland taking on the Lakers. For the Blazers, Jeremy Grant already picking out holiday spots and that sort of thing, so he's out for tonight. The three centers are all available, which means Williams and Klingon are non-factors in most fantasy leagues, unless Ayton gets injured or something. But yeah, based on this current roster construction and lineup, Williams and Klingon, we cannot be holding them. Avdia, we are rostering. Kamara, I think we're rostering Kamara still. And Scoot, he wasn't great in that last game, but from memory, he had 7 assists and 2 steals or something. Scoring is a little bit inconsistent, but if he can get you dimes and some good thievery, then I think he is worth holding in most leagues. Lakers, let me just check if we've got any further updates. We do not, other than RJ Barrett being questionable tomorrow, but that's for tomorrow's version of Adam. Anthony Davis, Gabe Vincent both downgraded to doubtful. Part of this is probably we're up against Portland, although risky when you're the Lakers. So if Anthony Davis is out, we could get Finney Smith playing as their small ball center like he did in Brooklyn quite a lot. The other option would be Jackson Hayes, I guess. He's coming back off an injury himself. so they probably don't want to extend him too much. Whatever they decide to do, I think Finney-Smith will play more. Will play more minutes tonight. And he's probably worth a grab just to see how he goes. He didn't do much in that first game, obviously, but with more minutes and having played and probably done some training and stuff with them, a little bit better. Max Christie, probably a hold. I think did I drop him? I feel like I dropped him somewhere last night. I don't know who I picked up. But anyway, he's pretty borderline. I still really like him. There's just not a ton of usage and opportunities for him. Steals, threes, that's what he can do. Hachimura, I mean, if you want to stream him tonight, fine. I don't think he's a long-term ad or anything like that. Same goes for Dalton Connect. Shake Milton, we're not worrying too much about. I know he hit a couple of threes in that first game, but he's not going to play a ton unless Austin Reeves is out or LeBron is out. But no, that is not happening tonight. All right, let's have a look at some questions. Chad can smell the Cade snub tweets. Yeah, I really hope he gets in. I mean, he's in that list, that top 10, but yeah, we'll see. Playing for those teams, it does make it harder. Would I trade a bad top 100 player for Keon Ellis? I don't know. I mean, what we saw from Keon last night was good. He's obviously not going to play that many minutes. We don't know if they are going to move him into the starting lineup based on this or whether they'll just go straight back to Keegan Murray. So it is a risk because if they go back to Keegan Murray, then no, I wouldn't. No, that's probably not true. If his minutes drop below 25, I wouldn't. If they hold him now in a 26, 28-minute role and limit some of those other guys, then maybe. So depending on the player, I'd probably consider it. Tobias could see him playing 1 or 2 games in the final week if they are out of contention. Is this a Keon Ellis question or reference, I suppose? Or Cade? I don't know who you're talking about there. It could be Cade because you've then said need them to trade Harris. Yeah, I don't think they will, but it would open up minutes. Is Tobias Harris a drop in a 10-teamer? 10-team, 13 roster spots. It's 130 players. He's borderline. With Ivy out, I think he might be a hold. Yes, Jar on talent, and that's why he'll get voted in because he's Jar Morant. Did I hear about Gary Payton talking about how Shaq used to haze rookies? I did not, no. Then we've got some all-star chatter, just sort of agreeing. It's nice. If Clowney is out, I wouldn't be surprised if Claxton plays the 4 and Sharp plays the 5. Yeah, it is an option against that size of the Bucks. Like I said, Sharp could play. I think either could play the 4 or the 5. They're both profile similarly. Nick Claxton is shooting threes for some reason. I'd work on my free throws before I work on my threes. But yes, there is an opportunity for Sharp potentially. How do I think Trace Jackson Davis would do against Phil with Joel, even if he has 30 to 35 minutes? Against Phil. Who is Phil? Should I know who Phil is? Bill. Yeah, I don't know who Phil is. Tell me who Phil is. DFS versus DeAndre Ayton. Yeah, it's going to be a mess. I was on Josh's show. We not a lot of time, and Josh gets so many questions that we don't. He has to be very selective with questions and work through them. Jaden Ivey. Oh, okay. So you could see Jaden Ivey playing 1 to 2 games if they're out of contention. Yeah, I guess there's a chance of that happening. I don't think it does, but you do never know. Like if he recovers quite well, and he's ready to go. This was obviously a freak injury. It was not nothing to do with his mechanics or anything. Someone fell on his leg, so chances of it happening again are pretty low. And in a lot of instances, a broken bone is better than a significant tendon or ligament injury or anything like that. So we'll see. For what it's worth, I dropped him last week in a 10-teamer and 11-teamer and picked up TJD and Herb. Picked up who? Tobias, maybe? Oh, against Phil. Against Philadelphia. That's not a person named Phil. So how do I think Trace Jackson-Davis will go against Philadelphia? It'll be tough. I mean, coming up against Embiid is tough. Working in his favour, though, is the fact that Embiid can't move. So, and one of the benefits or the advantages that Trace Jackson-Davis has over a lot of players is his mobility and speed. So if he can take advantage of that, then I think he'll be okay. Obviously, size-wise, he just can't match up with Joel Embiid and strength and touch around the ring and all that sort of stuff. So it's going to be a tough one, but it'll be a really good test, I think. So Malik, Asar, or Tobias after Ivey's injury. If all three are available, it's Tobias for me, and then Malik, and then Asar. That would be the order. I'd have Asar at the bottom. But it would also depend a little bit on what stats you need, because Asar is going to be rebounds and defense, whereas Malik and Tobias to some degree are points, threes, that sort of thing. So they are a little bit different in what they bring. Does Australia close it out tonight? Degenerate gamblers want to know. Close it out. Tonight, I don't know. It's going to be tough. I know Rohit Sharma is out. This is a cricket question, I'm assuming, for anyone that's wondering what the hell Chad's talking about. Yeah, look, the test, it starts in 1 hour and a half, I think. So I will be throwing it on the TV. I'm working from home, so I can have it on. Yeah, it's tough to know. I mean, India are a good team. Australia have got they did make a couple of changes. I don't know. I hope they do. I think they should, but India are very tough. Like it's certainly not a foregone conclusion. Actually, is the term. Drop Tobias for Trace Jackson-Davis. I think that's okay. And drop Tobias for Herb. Yeah, look, if you need steals and threes, then that's fine. They're very different to Tobias. Shaq would dump weeks of his excrement on rookies. Lovely, Shaq. Imagine if that happened today. Well, maybe it does and we just don't hear about it. Will Asar or Tobias be better than D'Lo, Middleton in my points league? Asar, no. Vassell, Giddy, Murphy. No, I don't think so. Malik Beasley, no, I don't think so. Top 70. I doubt it. All right. And that's it. That's all the games. I need to go and sadly log on to work today. Actually, it's not that sad. I like my job. Thank you, everyone, for listening. I will be back with a post-game show today. Only 6 of them. Let me just check if we've had any injury updates. We have not, other than, as I said, RJ Barrett is questionable for tomorrow with his illness. A question. Shining. Another cricket question. We should do a cricket podcast. Mitch Marsh being gone is a boon. Yeah. Yeah, Mitch Marsh hasn't been playing well, so I do think he'll be back in the team. This is just a bit of a rough stretch for him. And Sharma, yeah, he's been pretty iffy for India anyway, so bringing in someone probably not a bad thing. Let's put a pin in that there. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Again, please go and download and subscribe and like and do all of that stuff. I am Adam King. This has been the Balls Deep pregame show. Until next time, catch up.
You just listened to another episode from the Fantasy Basketball International Podcast Network. Thanks for joining us. And for more information about joining our community, please check out our website at FBI